What's going on, everybody at home, National Geographic fans around the world? This is Jason Silva. I am the host of the new series, Origins, the Journey of Humankind. So for you guys tuning in at National Geographic around the world, you guys tuning in on my personal Facebook page, thank you for being here. We thought we'd give you a sort of behind-the-scenes sense of how we shoot the wraparounds and hosted segments of this series. Now, as you can see behind me, this backdrop is kind of amazing, visually flourishing and explosive. This is the background for the Fire episode, which is actually running again tonight on National Geographic. So we want you guys to tune in. I believe it's 9 p.m., right?
9 p.m. Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern tonight. The Fire episode is going to be re-airing. And of course, next week, next Monday night, the new episode on medicine, Origins, the Journey of Humankind, is going to look at medicine and how we basically have rebelled against our faith and rebelled against death throughout our human journey. So, you see this, you see these backgrounds, I mean, this is kind of amazing, but of course, a lot of work goes into making Origins. A lot more work than just what I do standing on this stage trying to excitedly share these ideas with you. There's dozens of people that work with us, and we're actually going to turn on the light and give you guys at home a sense of the wonderful, hardworking, brilliant, visionary collaborators that we have here that make Origin possible.
So, wait a minute, Jason,
yes, tell me.
You have a teleprompter? I thought you made everything up.
Well, I make everything up in my own digital videos, but you know, we have to make sure that we hit like historical facts and that we have everything is fact-checked, because this is television. It's a little bit more serious, and so yes, we do have a teleprompter, but I'm allowed to riff off of the teleprompter, give and take, as long as I sort of stay on subject. So we play with that.
You got that.
So over here we've got all these wonderful people that operate the camera, DPs, assistant DPs, and all these fancy titles that I forget, teleprompter operator, all these wonderful people. Everybody's awesome. Kurt, one of our executive producers here, this man is made known for many shows, including You Do Through the Wormhole is one of the series he used to do.
Yep. Well, how about mentioning one of ours? Breakthrough.
Yeah, Breakthrough, of course, the National Geographic, he's responsible. And as you can see, everybody here is putting their heart and soul and passion to bring in the story of humanity to you guys. These guys are the unseen heroes that are behind the screen, bringing the miracle.
Graphics, huh? Over here.
Yes, yes. So we have
Evolve.
Graphics, the guys from Evolve. These guys are responsible for bringing together the images that you see in the background. You guys have seen me when I'm doing my rants and raving that we have these insane visual backdrops, and these guys right here are responsible for that. So thank you for your hard work. Mr. John Boswell is the creator of the series. You might know him.
This is the John Boswell who said he didn't want to be on camera?
This is the guy from Melody Sheep. Well, actually, he is Melody Sheep. John Boswell, also known as Melody Sheep, he goes by the alias, kind of like Batman and Bruce Wayne. This man right here conceived of Origins, brought it to Asylum Entertainment, who that's brought it to Nat Geo, and then I came involved, and he and I are friends. We've worked together in the past, but it's thanks to the original idea in this man's brain that this whole series has been brought to the world and soon to 171 countries, I believe. Yeah. So we're going to head back here to this chair.
Some questions, huh?
Yeah, we'll take some questions from the audience.
So what's the show about? What is it? For people who haven't
Let me
seen
sit
it.
in my director's chair so that I can
my God.
put my thinking cap off. Yeah, on. Okay.
So what's Origins about? What is it?
So,
By the way, somebody from Libya just said hello.
From Libya.
Kerrville, Texas.
Yeah, well, I mean, Origins looks at the origin moments, the seed moments that led us to where we are today. And where we are today, for example, is in a world where people can share their minds with one another instantaneously and in real time with no wires, which is kind of amazing. Somebody on the other side of the planet in Libya gets to share their thoughts and passions with us. I mean, that's where we are. So we have an episode, for example, that looks at the origins of communication, how early humans initially figuring out a way to share the insides of their mind with one another with a symbolic code. Creating a code that encodes thoughts into vibrations of sound that we send through the air that allow us to share mind with one another. So we trace the origin of communication and bring that all the way to the internet today. So that's one episode. Another episode that we look at is the origin of money. They say money makes the world go round, right? Death and taxes are the only sure things. But it turns out that money is a consensual hallucination. Money is a symbolic construct. Money only exists if we believe in it. So again, we trace back the origin of money. Of course, the fire episode, which I've talked about, is about how the domestication of the flame essentially made us human. Cooking made us human. When we cooked for the first time, that was like an external stomach that pre-digested every meal, that made every meal more efficient. Otherwise, we'd have to chew all day, every day. Instead, we could eat once or twice a day. All this free time emerged, and the development of culture essentially came out of us beginning to cook. So that's the cooking episode. We have an episode on war. You know, I hate war. I'm peace and love all the way. But you can't deny the fact that war has been responsible for some of our greatest innovations. Sometimes when we are pushed against the corner, we can come up with some good ideas. And so that's kind of like the bittersweet realities of war.
So there's some topics here that have been done on television and documentaries before, but this is done a new way, isn't it? It
Yes.
doesn't look like any show you've ever seen.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, every generation expects stories to be told in a different way. Every audience has different sensibilities, different tastes, different styles. And so we're trying to reinvent the medium. We're trying to reinvent the format of how the historical docu-narrative is told. We're mixing fiction with non-fiction elements. We're scripted with non-scripted elements. We're having these like cinematic vignettes that recreate these key moments in time, and they look like movies. But then we also have kind of me doing the Carl Sagan thing, or at least trying to.
So for new people, a bunch of new people have joined on.
Oh, great.
Tell us who you are and what we're talking about.
Yeah, so for you guys who just tuned in, my name is Jason Silva, and I am the host of Origins, The Journey of Humankind, which is a new series on the National Geographic Channel, which has premiered in the U.S. and will premiere around the world very soon. So, yeah.
And it's when is it on?
Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. Tonight it'll be back. It'll be re-airing the Fire episode. And we're very excited for you guys to tune in. So if you guys are curious, if you guys are hungry for knowledge, if you guys want to understand where we come from, where we came from, how far we've come, and how fast we've gotten here, you must tune in to Origins. Also, I think the show is it gives you a sense of understanding what it means to be human. Carl Sagan had a great line. He said, "Understanding is a kind of ecstasy." And I really believe that. As a fellow wonder junkie myself, I've always had these insatiable curiosity and desire to understand who we are, where we came from, so that we can then decide where we want to go. There's a great line by Edward O. Wilson. He said, we must never forget that we have decommissioned natural selection, and now we must choose deep within ourselves and decide what we wish to become.
How is this different from some of the shots of all you've done that have appeared on the internet?
Yeah, so
It's longer, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what's nice about Origins is it combines two of my passions, short form and long form. See, within the hour-long episodes of Origins, there are short form, standalone pieces that we call symphonies that are done in collaboration with John Boswell. And these symphonies look a lot like the content that John has been doing as Melody Sheep, and they also have a little bit of my Shots of Awe flair. And the idea is a story within a story. We sort of unpack every act. We tell you what you're going to see and before we show you. And each of these symphonies, I believe, could stand on its own as like social media promotional material for the larger series, because they're kind of like trailers for the mind. They're kind of like, you could call them explosions of inspiration that set up the key ideas that we're going to explore in the episode. And then we combine that with these vignettes that are movie-like recreations that take you to these moments and recreate them for you like you're there.
Aya K has a really interesting question. How was the research done? Tell us about the kind of people that we talked to when we put this together. The authors, the educators,
Yeah.
the big thinkers, the futurists.
Yeah, so
Really, really special
I mean, there's
people.
a massive collaborative team, right? We have amazing writers and researchers from the production company that work together with execs from National Geographic, and then we have the actual experts, authors and writers and academics and intellectuals that are actually interviewed in the show that provide a kind of authority or spine to a lot of these ideas that we're exploring. You know, they bring the gravitas, they bring the seriousness, because they're the ones that are best equipped to give us some of these facts. And then my job is to come in and kind of stitch that together, to synthesize what they've put out there, and to sort of use that to transition into some of these vignettes and so on and so forth. But obviously, as with all big projects, there are a lot of people that work really hard to bring this to the screen. So I try to do my best to be a reflection of all that hard work as sort of the mouthpiece of the series.
How close is this show to what you envisioned when you started this journey months and months ago?
Dream come true. I mean, I think it's exceeding my expectations in every way. I think when we started with Origins, we were all excited and we were all so scared. How do you bring the journey of humankind and keep an audience enraptured for an hour? Big challenge. But I think that Mr. John Boswell, the folks at Asylum Entertainment, and of course the folks at Nat Geo have really stepped it up. As their new campaign slogan says, they've taken things further. So I couldn't be happier.
So tonight at 9, we're going to see the first show as a replay.
Yes.
9 o'clock Eastern.
Yes, so tonight at
What's
9
this show
p.m.
about?
9 p.m. Eastern on National Geographic Channel, we're going to rerun the first episode, which is Fire, the domestication of fire. And, Marshall McLuhan, one of my favorite philosophers, used to say, first we build the tools, and then the tools build us. And this is very true with fire. We used to carry fire, now fire carries us. It propels our airplanes, it fuels our rockets into orbit. But initially, it was this thing that we kind of figured out, and we were like, oh my God, we could cook our food or we could burn our village. It's potentially a force of good and a force of evil, a double-edged sword, like all technologies. And this is something that we look at in this episode, and you guys are going to have your mind blown when you watch it.
So we've got some friends here asking us, how many episodes are we making
8.
this time? 8. And just
8.
the first one is airing tonight.
Yeah, so the first one is re-airing tonight, Fire, and then next Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll have the second one, which is on medicine. And it's the total of 8 episodes. So for the next 8 weeks, you can look forward to having your minds blown on Nat Geo.
Yeah, what does this show bring that other shows like it that haven't done before? What's new about this show?
I think just the style and the production value that we're bringing together. I mean, what makes Origin different, I think, is the visual flair that Melody Sheep brings to it, the sort of anthemic trailers for the mind that we call symphonies on the top of every act of every episode. And then the historical recreations don't look like those cheesy black and white historical recreations that we've seen before. Like we bring you there. Like you feel like you're watching a movie, that takes you directly down a wormhole into the past, into these origin moments. So I think people are going to just feel that we've stepped it up in terms of quality, in terms of visuals, and in terms of storytelling.
So the show has a big ambition, you'd say.
Yes, it is as ambitious as National Geographic, so definitely.
And some of the other topics, exploration, transportation.
Yeah, so we have exploration, which is about the human desire to overcome our boundaries and explore the perimeters of the possible. We have an episode on money, the symbolic construct that is money. We have an episode on shelter, right? We build our spaces, we architect our spaces, and then those spaces architect us in return. We have one on war, how war can be a force of destruction, but then become a force of creation and creativity. We have one on, what would I say? Oh yeah, communication, the origin of language, how language was a singularity to transform humanity. Of course, fire, medicine, the way that we rebel against our fate and we fight the darkness, raging against the dying of the light with medicine and science. So yeah, every episode I think has a profound philosophical dimension to it. Every episode is representative of this human capacity to overcome our boundaries. As Alan Harrington, my favorite philosopher, said, we must never forget we are cosmic revolutionaries, not stooges conscripted to advance a natural order that kills everyone. We didn't sign up for these terms, and we have rebelled against them. That's what it means to be human.
Invite your friends to send in questions.
Yes, so if you guys are watching this, I would encourage you guys to participate in the dialogue below. Send your questions and queries, and we'll try to engage with that.
Darlene Vickery says, I'm a grandmother, and I never tire of learning different stories.
Well, that's nice to hear.
There's no shelf life on learning, is there?
No, there isn't.
Exploration
I think that we're wired to learn. We get a dopamine hit. We get a reward every time we learn something new. We literally are enthralled by novelty. It's in our wiring. And so we should always keep learning.
Good. Tell us again when it's on. What's on tonight at 9 Eastern?
And to tell you again, if you're just tuning in, tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, Origins, the Fire episode. Don't miss it. 9 p.m. Eastern on National Geographic, and every Monday from here on out.
Yeah.
Cool, guys.
Well,
Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this Facebook Live. Thank you, friends at home. Thank you, friends at National Geographic. I appreciate you. And don't forget to tune into Origins. Thank you, guys.